What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of Bear With Us. I'm General Prime, and with me I've got
Ando.
Today we're going to be talking about something that's quite controversial and yet equally important. So there's a lot that we have to talk about today about religion and why it's important and why it actually exists in our world. So what do you guys think about?
I think religion exists because people are looking for something to believe in.
Is that?
But they have culture.
It's a sort of religion in a sense, though.
It's culture is really different from religion.
Yeah, but if people believe in something, it's showing their way of life. So culture is their way of life. So
Well, every culture has, to an extent, has a foot in religion, because for a group of people to come together and form this culture, they have to have a certain belief system or philosophy about life as they see it, and so from there they tend to sprout some sort of belief system that guides them in their community. So that's how religions begin.
I think it's not a religion without a god.
No, listen, religions don't need God, first of all, to start. The religion starts with the uncertainty of reality. For example, there is a lot that we didn't know about before. So, as time went on, we started assigning those things to personalities. For example, we didn't know about why thunder struck, or why there was lightning, or why there was famine in the land, or why diseases killed people. So we came up with this idea. Cultures actually came up with this idea that maybe there might be things that are beyond our control, humans or beings that are beyond our control, that oversee the life of we pesky humans. So that was how we assigned personalities to natural phenomena. Like we assigned God of thunder to thunder. We assigned the God of the sea. We assigned Poseidon to the sea and all that stuff. So that was I don't know if people watch if we listen to Jordan Peterson. There's a lot that he says about the inception of religion. These are some of the points that he's made. So from there, after the assigning of all these traits to these phenomena, we started coming up with stories about them. Started giving them stories. Started giving them character, and from there, everything just took off. And we started having. I think one of the first religions was Hinduism.
Oh, that?
Hinduism was one of the first religions, but it's fucking old. Yeah. But Hinduism, not like we know it today, like the very beginning of it. I don't even know. So from there, other religions started sprouting all over the world, because obviously communities were being formed. People were coming up with their own way of life and way of survival. And because of also the fact that every part of the world has a different geographical traits to it. For example, there are people who live in deserty areas, and there are people who live in forest regions. So the religions kind of, it was obviously apparent that the people who lived in these foresty regions would believe in beings that lived in the forest or lived in water and all that. And so why the people who lived in desert areas would believe in sun gods. Like, for example, in Egypt we have Ra, we have Isis, and these are sun gods. And they don't, like, for example, there is this stuff in Nigeria where they have rainmakers. You understand? So because of the fact that there are people who live in somewhere in Anambra now, that's where it usually rains a lot there. So obviously they will have rainmakers, right? But take the same rainmakers to somewhere like Egypt, they can't, or the North South, they won't have the powers that they think that they have. You understand? So religion basically is just people looking for a way to cope.
let's say Christian gods. Do you think problems actually happen because they said, oh, this is supernatural being or an entity, or it was their own traits, personalities, and legacy God of war, God of hunger, all those things, and we just believe that our own personalities, in God, is supposed to be assigned to that kind of personality. And say more happiness and everything. So I just think that's like humanity kind of traits.
I feel like it kind of goes down to there's this saying that people say, like, take care of what you can control, and then what you cannot control, leave it to God. I think that's what happens with like places that have like multi gods. Like when it comes to war, many generals might say that, you know what, last man, this is the best I can do. But you know what, I feel like I should pray to someone to like help with this war. Or some farmers, they plant their seed, but some other person might get more growth than the other one, and then they're like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna sacrifice some stuff to the other one. That's how like most of these gods come about, even farming, beauty, and all of that. Some people might be some women like from the olden days might be so beautiful, and then they'll just start worshiping them like they are like beauty goddesses and all of that stuff.
Well, another thing again, like, the question I asked was that we humans, we are storytellers, and let me stay close to the mic because I don't think it's, we humans, we are storytellers, so we tell a lot of stories. We try to create scenarios about things, and so in the stories you create, I think they gave the gods that they made, they gave them stories, they gave them backstories, understand, to like kind of elevate their character and make them more believable and more relatable. Even though they were, like, for example, they say in Greek mythology, we humans are playthings of the gods. So even though we are playthings of the gods, like we submit ourselves to things like hunger and anger and rage, and these are things that the gods, like, they give us up to them. So we are like, how do I put it now? We are Carl Sagan said, characteristically, we tend to project our own nature onto nature. You understand? So because we are beings filled with traits like anger and hunger and all that stuff, we create like gods based on all those traits. So, like, for example, now, let's say Zeus now is the god of all gods, understand? And so whatever happens to us, like say any like misfortune that happens to us, we tend to say that, oh, maybe we must have angered Zeus, and that's why he's bringing this wrath on us, like flooding and all that stuff. So
do you think the perception of me thinking like there's a God in the first place? Like, why do we think there's a God in the first place? Like, why do we imagine we can do something? It doesn't belong to something or someone.
Because here on earth, like, the truth about us being here on this earth is that there is no purpose. No matter how nihilistic you might think that seems, there is no purpose on it. The only purpose here is to make of life what you can. You understand? So, but because of the fact that we want purpose, so where we cannot find purpose, we tend to like fill in that space with things, and that's where the idea of a higher power comes in. When we cannot find our purpose, we now kind of tend to like relegate everything to, oh, there must be a God, and this God wants us to worship him, or this God wants us to serve him all our lives and do whatever he wants us to do. Now we have given ourselves a purpose, but the purpose is not like the purpose that we have created for ourselves is not based on our own like, how do I put it, humanistic as in ideas. We have like given ourselves up to whatever higher being that we think is out there, so to use us, even though the love that we're going to show to one another, or the good things that we're going to do for one another is solely humanistic in nature, but we have turned it into something higher, something more supernatural. So yeah, the idea of God, or every, like for example, now I always think also, like, why is it that every culture in the world has a God? Does it mean that maybe there actually is a God or something like that? But the truth is that we're all drawn to as in asking why we're here. We're all drawn to asking the question why we're here, what our purpose is here. And so where we don't find an apparent purpose, we tend to create one for ourselves. And that one always, because of our head mentality and our ignorance about our world, it always leads towards something higher. We always want to feel higher than ourselves. We always want to feel like we are part of something bigger. You understand? So that's where the idea of God comes in. But it's not. The idea of God is childish, if I'm going to say. Because listen, let me make you understand. Okay, why do you think it isn't?
No, I'm just asking now, like, why do you think it's not like?
Because it's not childish. You can't just say the idea of God is childish.
Why?
His own idea.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not
okay,
saying
now, like, okay.
it's your opinion though, but like, me, I don't believe the idea of God is childish.
Like the question I asked you was the way we think that there's something or we give up something or another thing, like the mindset of we humans just raising anything up actually there's a God or there's somebody that is higher than we are supposed to be without. That's why most like Hitler, some people regard him as a God because obviously he has power,
he has influence.
And then mostly even in history books and stuff, a lot of people want to do a lot of things so that they can be recognized and then they can keep their brothers and all those things. And then with those stories, stories change from time to time. Yeah. So if those stories change, somebody may say, okay, this one is that. And just
elevate it and exaggerate it. It's true.
This person is so mighty,
to the point that if the people that they were writing about could read about their own stories today, they wouldn't even believe that they were the ones that they were talking about. For example, the idea of the person of Jesus. I don't think that Jesus Christ existed ever. No, let me tell you, I don't think he existed because his story is so convoluted. And if actually he existed, he wouldn't be he won't be the person that was depicted in the Bible, because there is so much in the Bible that was left out about the life of Jesus in the non-canonical Gospels, and then the only ones that Christians have today are the ones that are just written in the New Testament about him. So the person of Jesus is, first of all, the apostles don't even agree on who he was. So, like, for example, there's a difference between the apostles and the disciples. So the apostles don't agree that maybe he was a person. Like someone like Paul thinks he was an idea. And so if you read really about the life of Jesus, you see that it's too, obviously it's so supernatural, so inhuman. I don't know, that's the best way I can put it. Like, he's like kind of like a superhero. Understand? So it's not something that can happen in this natural world. As in, the idea of Jesus is not something that can happen in this natural world. One, because back then there was no way that people could give, like, there are ways that people could give proper accounts of the evidence of Jesus existing, but you can't find anyone. Okay, even way back before the time of Jesus, we had Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, he saw himself as a god, as a literal god, like someone that went to Egypt and conquered Egypt and built a city there and called it by his own name. So the level of opulence he had back then and the level of importance and he had back then was so great that we can still feel it today in the present. And if you ask for the evidence for Alexander the Great, we can show you all his monuments, we can show you things that were written about him, we can show you pottery, clay, sculptures, and all those things. and you can know a definite. You can like as in imagine a definite picture of who he was
But
back
that
then.
was because he was in power, though.
Yeah,
because
but
I mean, Jesus
But-
didn't come to like
no.
fight wars.
Listen,
and nations
Jesus
develop
did
and
more.
so-
You see, listen, Jesus in the Bible did way more key important things than Alexander the Great. One, he was always vying for peace, while Alexander the Great was a warrior. Secondly, he literally raised people from the dead, and he healed the sick, and he turned fucking water to wine. Now, though communication was slower compared to now back then, like for example, for news to reach somewhere like Ethiopia or somewhere like China, it would take weeks or months. You understand, about great deeds, but for today now we can do it in seconds. So things like that back then, for someone to raise someone from the dead, would have gone worldwide, and people would have wanted to come and see for themselves what was going on, because it would have been bigger than a religion. It would have been for the survival of mankind, to keep mankind here on earth forever. Because I know there are doctors, there are scientists that are looking for the key to immortality. So raising someone from the dead would have been huge news back then. Yet there was nothing of the sort. The only way we know about that was in the Bible. Secondly, feeding 5,000 people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. It would have been monumental. Like, as in, I don't know if people see the way I see it. Like, Jesus' acts in the Bible were so crazy that if they were done today, like, fuck, that guy would have been the president of the world. I'm telling you.
But that was what happened back then, that Herod felt threatened.
Listen,
wanted to
see,
kill him.
that is just it. Listen, Herod, listen, if you're a Herod guy, you would want to live forever. There is nothing like being. See, okay, think of this. Jesus died, right? And then he was buried in the tomb. And, like, and on the third day, he now rose again. Don't you think that it would have been logical for him to rise and then show himself to the fucking government and say, guys, you cannot kill me. This is it.
But that's like-
And
that was
listen, no,
that was
see,
not
listen,
his personality. That's not
listen.
the kind of
That is what the
Type
story.
right
See,
down.
that is what the story wants people to like. That is where the story wants people to follow. You understand? That is where the plot of that story wants people to, that's what it wants people to go with. But in reality, for the whole idea of Christianity to be legit, to be legit, like to be so fucking objective, like Jesus would have shown himself to, at least not even only his disciples, to everybody, to make everybody know that, okay, what he was trying to say was actually true. And then from there, people will now understand that, okay, so this is what this guy wants. All right, okay, then we're going to.
He wasn't secretive when he left, because like he flew up in the sky, like he has said.
Yeah, he flew up in
Like
the
if
sky.
he was gonna be secretive in quote, he would have disappeared and appeared in heaven.
Okay, but like where he flew up, as in he flew off just in the presence of only his disciples and apostles and some other
If
people.
I fly up from here, someone from, I don't know, from anybody from around here can see me.
Yeah, but not like okay. Why are there no? Okay, for example now.
Like there were eyewitness account, like there were a lot of people.
Exactly,
The Bible said that
eyewitness
many people,
accounts.
like, turned.
Yet we cannot find anyone today.
They're dead.
For example, no, listen. See, we cannot find any eyewitness accounts now. Okay, let me ask you this question. Back then, right, we had cave. We still have cave paintings today, because, as in, even before the advent of writing, we had pictographs. We had hieroglyphs. So, and then before that, we had cave paintings. So, from those cave paintings, we could try to observe the life of how those people lived back then. Even the animals that they painted, we can compare those animals, how they looked back then, to how they look today, and know and figure out how evolution has how they've evolved over the years. You understand? And we also have carvings. We have sculptures all over the world, scattered all over the world, leaving hints and traces that people lived there back then. You understand? But now, when it now comes to the fucking life of Jesus, right? The historicity of Jesus Christ. What we have are just Europeanized versions of it. We don't have any actual painting of Jesus fitting the 5,000. We don't have any actual sightings or any actual drawings or anything remotely related to the actual account of Jesus performing whatever it is he was performing. We only have Europeanized versions and watered down versions of all those things. So those are not actual eyewitness accounts. Those are not witnesses. They are just people who have heard the story and then they've given the story their own illustrations. And there are no I was comparing Jesus with Alexander the Great. Today we have coins. Alexander the Great is his own coins, his own bull, his own portrait.
Because he was in power.
It doesn't have to mean It's not like
Alexander the Great was like the son of was like the conqueror, Roger was like the son of the carpenter.
Okay, but yet what Jesus did in the Bible was more significant to the common man back then to what Alexander the Great did. So, for example, now someone in the desert listening to Jesus, someone among the 5,000 listening to Jesus, and then all of a sudden he sees Jesus multiplying food out of nowhere, and the person can sculpt or the person can draw. People back then, they didn't really know how to write. You understand? They didn't really know how to write. They were scribes. Even kings didn't know how to write. They were scribes that did the writings for kings and all that. So, but people could draw, people could sculpt, people could paint, and we don't have any of those today. So, why is that?
After in the Bible, after Jesus rose from the dead, there's a part I read it. It doesn't come to mind. I'm not quoting word for word. But what happened was the soldiers that went back to Herod to tell him that an angel rolled the stone away. He was told by Herod that you go and tell the people that the disciple came and took away his body. So you can see, like, from what's happening even in Nigeria now, how the government tries to shield the truth from people, because they know that if what he said actually came to pass, that people are going to like question their own power, like the power of the government. So isn't it possible for like Herod and what's the word I'm using?
His officials
and the people in control back then, isn't it possible for them to like try to either discredit these accounts or convert them to someone else? Maybe they can be using the accolades on someone else.
Well, it would have been very possible because it would have been very easy back then. There was no access to information back then. But when we're talking about Jesus, we're talking about someone who was well known, who at the time, because wherever he went about healing people, preaching to people, feeding them and all that stuff. So he was kind of like the local superhero back then. So for Herod now to come now want to taint his image and say that the disciples came in the night to take him, I don't think that's okay. If Jesus appeared to his disciples, I think he would have. And if Jesus appeared to his disciples and then told his disciples that they should go about and to preach the good news, I think that he would have at least appeared to other people to make it known. As in, if he really wanted to authenticate his to legitimate his the fact that he was alive, he wouldn't have made it so discreet. In my opinion, he wouldn't have made it so discreet. He would have made it plain and known so that everybody would take notes and know that this is what is happening. But we didn't see any of that.
I don't think he wanted to show off.
Why? No, it's not about showing off. See, there's a difference between no. There's a difference between showing off and like making your mark. You understand? Making a point.
I don't think he was trying to
make a point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Why wouldn't he make? As in, the guy who already went through the whole trouble of dying for us. So what is the point of not making a point?
Honestly, the whole Bible is a mystery.
Why should it be a mystery? It cannot be a mystery. The Bible is just another book.
Actually, and then honestly, to me, I kind of feel like they use a lot of metaphors in the Bible. You can't really say, those things were exactly the way it was. Do you get?
So
And the dying in the Bible, yeah, the purpose of him coming was not just to like die, just to hang on the cross and show us that oh, God has taken all our this thing. The real battle happened on the other side when he defeated the devil.
where is there anywhere it says in the Bible that he went to hell to defeat the devil?
Yeah, there is.
Where?
I
Yes,
can't
there is.
quote
There
it.
is
I can't quote it.
There is nowhere that you have to.
I can't quote
Me.
it for you right now.
Okay, but there is literally nowhere in the Bible. It said where Christians get that stuff from is from the Apostles' Creed. Have you ever heard of the Apostles' Creed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Can you quote? Can you say the Apostles' Creed?
Yeah, I can say it, but I can't say it now.
You can say it, but you can't say it now.
Like it's a long text.
No, it's not long. I believe in God the Father Almighty,
Yeah, no,
Creator of heaven and earth.
I was born a Catholic.
Okay. So you know that in the Apostles' Creed, it said that he went to hell, defeated the devil, and then he came back to him. That is where they got the idea that Jesus Christ went to hell to defeat it. There is nowhere in the Bible, in your conventional Bible, that it says that Jesus, after his death, he went down to hell, defeated the angel, the devil, and collected.
So do you believe the Bible?
No.
Then if it was in the Bible, that means you wouldn't have believed it anyway.
He said?
If it was in the Bible that he went to hell, yeah, that means you wouldn't have believed it anyway. So what's the point?
No. Like what I'm trying to say is that no. First of all, I'm not even a Christian. I don't even believe in God. So, but I acknowledge that the Bible is a very important book. As in, there is no doubt about that. It's a very important book, and it needs to be read and understood. Understood for what it actually is, not what we wish it to be. You understand?
What do you think it actually is?
The Bible is kind of like imagine 1,000 years from now, somebody writing about let me just say Captain America. I don't want to say Superman. I will say Captain America. Imagine 1,000 years from now, someone writing about Captain America. There are obviously going to be a lot of changes and exaggerations about him. So that is just basically what the Bible is. That's why I was saying before that there could have been a person called Jesus. Could have. But if you were to read the Bible today, if you were to read about himself in the Bible today, he wouldn't recognize that the person being talked about in the Bible is actually him. That is just the fact about it.
He said in quotes that he is the way to God. Like, that's a very outrageous quote. I mean, and he said it. I don't think anything about him was exaggerated.
What?
I said he said that he is the way to God. And
He
that's
is the way to God.
And back then, yeah. Like he said no one goes to God except him.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it.
But
And I think that back then, yeah, that's something that people could classify as hate speech and you could be killed for. And I don't think, based on that, because in the Bible, yeah, when people talk and they quote it, yeah, that's like word for word, alright? So I feel someone who says something like that, there's no way you can exaggerate any other thing about him. Like, that's a quote, like, that's how he saw himself, that's what he believed he was.
so, but was it true? Was it true? Do you actually believe that the Jesus in the Bible actually existed?
Yeah, 100%.
Like someone who was on this earth who fucking went about for turning water to wine and raising people from the dead, from the actual dead. Like
Yeah,
someone who
there are
is
people
inanimate.
who do dark magic, who like form rain out of something, so
We have to be realistic about this world that we live in. I don't think that Jesus existed because his story is unrealistic. First of all, Jesus is supposedly God, right? God, dead person or whatever. If Jesus is the son, there's this saying that they say before Abraham, Jesus was. That means that Jesus existed before Abraham as the son of God. So if Jesus is the son and God is the father, who is the mother?
it's a spiritual thing, isn't it?
So if it's a spiritual thing, then why does it have humanistic concepts like father and son?
That's like that's like how people like express things, like maybe this is like a father or this. Also back then, yeah, people interpret things they don't understand with what they can understand.
Okay, we're talking about today, in 2020. Why is that? is it that we're just too dumb to be able to classify the Trinity for what it really is, or as in, or are they really actually father and son? Because if they're actually father and son,
if you don't like the term father and son, yeah, he said he is the incarnate of the Father.
but he's still saying father now, and he's still saying incarnate. And for somebody to be an
Well,
incarnate
if God
of something,
created us, then he's a father.
no, that is not. It's like saying, okay, now, let's say, what is his fucking name? The owner of Apple creates Apple. Does it mean that he's the father of Apple? Like the literal father of Apple? Yeah, he's the owner, he's the CEO, he's the creator. But he's not going to say, oh, this is my son. He can say, oh, this is my baby in like a contextual sense. But you cannot like literally say, oh, this is my actual baby. That so
an object can be a son, number one, and number two, yeah. When I was in primary school, yeah, they taught us about Charles Babbage, and they called him the father of computers. So
but that is okay. For example, now Jesus always says that his father in heaven. What I'm trying to say is, if like are they actually related? Because you cannot just say, okay, for example, now he's called the father, right? Does it mean that he's an actual man? He's an actual man. Is God an actual man? Because he's always referred to as a he, as a father. He's got a nose that he used to smell burnt sacrifices. He has got a hand that he writes on walls with. He's got butt that he sits on his throne with. These are humanistic concepts. So there is no other way that you can tell me that this humanistic he's even prone to anger and jealousy and regret. So all these are humanistic concepts of the creator of our known reality. So why is the creator of our reality of this universe so prone to petty humanistic concepts like anger and fucking regret? You understand? So that is like the God of the Bible. He's so humanistic. That is just the best word I can say. He's so humanistic. Like it's almost as if he was created by man. It's almost as if the God of the Bible did not create us, but we created him. You understand? So like most of the things that we are petty about, the God of the Bible is also petty about it. Like most of the things that we want, the God of the Bible wants. Like the way I look at it, Christians don't get the meaning of the word omniscient. They don't really get it, because for something to be omniscient, guy, you don't like the God of the Bible wants worship, praise, adoration. That's child. That's what I meant by the God of the Bible is childish. That's childish. That's just so narcissistic and irrelevant. And also, he wants to be recognized. He wants to be respected. Yet he cannot. Like he does not want to earn whatever it is that he wants. He wants it to be like bestowed upon him, and yet he does not want to share it. You understand? So he's just trying to force us to do what he wants, which is wrong. So it's either it is wrong or it's not real. And right now it's looking like it's not real, because you cannot expect me to believe in a God that as in you're telling me that, oh, this God created heaven and earth, he created the whole universe, the vastness of this universe, he created this complicated earth and billions of other planets, and he's stooping so low to request for sacrifice. He stoops so low to fucking whatever it is you're doing in your room at night, and he's judging you for it. That's childish. Now that's the mentality of people that lived thousands of years ago. Also, the stories in the Bible are stories that only could have happened thousands of years ago. They are not in any way related to the future. They are limited by the past. I always think to myself, if God was to come back today, like he was described coming back in Revelations, like in Revelation, say he was come back like in a white horse and all that stuff. I always try to imagine what kind of car God would come back with, maybe like a Rolls Royce Phantom 1 or that, or any of that stuff. But we can never know, because in Revelation they say he was coming back in a white horse, and that's like the best transportation that they had back then, and that was why they called it Just like today now, celebrities are using the latest phones. Like any phone that comes out. I can remember there's this, I don't know if you've seen this, the stage performance of Jay-Z and Beyonce's Forever Young. She was using iPhone 5 back then when iPhone 5 came out. That was the best she had back then because nothing else existed. So, but today now, iPhone 12 has come out and most of all the celebrities are going to have iPhone 12 because it's the latest. And nobody is going to have iPhone 14 because iPhone 14 does not exist yet. So we are limited by our present. We cannot fucking go to the future. So that's just the way it was in the Bible. They were all limited by their time. You understand? So everything that was written in the Bible was based on what could have happened or let me say the imaginations of the people back then. Like their imaginations was not big enough to reach our future. You understand? So, for example, now, most of the problems they had back then were with other, let me say, other tribes, other nations that they always went to war with, and so, and when it was time for cleansing, or let me say, time for whatever, the best they could do was to offer burnt offerings and all that stuff. They didn't really know about, okay, for example, there's one time that they were asking Jesus about what to do about germs. Instead of him to, like, as the son of the creator of this universe that knows everything, instead of him to talk to them like, oh, this is how you're going to do about germs, this is how you're going to maybe wash your hands and stay safe. And he was telling them that whatever they eat will not affect them, whatever they fucking drink will not hurt them.
What do you expect from someone that raises people up from the dead? What do you expect him to say?
Listen. Jesus, like, you Christians see him as like the Son of God, like the Son of the one true God, right?
We don't see him as we believe him to.
Okay. Well, see, let's say you people see God as the one true God and he's like the creator of all things and all that stuff. Listen, if God was really the creator of everything, don't you think that he would have answers in the Bible that we can use today?
Yes, the Bible is account of how that is. The Bible is just like the storybook actually.
It's like a case study. Yeah, to be honest, it's like a case study, like, and has like most of what people go through. I think.
No, those are just generic things. Everybody suffers now.
I think everything is there.
No,
everything is like a case study of everything that happened.
No, listen. The Bible, is how do I put it? Everybody goes through stuff. We all go through shit in this life, and the Bible generally covers that. And the Bible generally talks about how you should treat your neighbor and this and that and that. But those are just the basic things that every other religion talks about. The Tao, the fucking most religions talk about how we should treat humans, how we should treat ourselves. But let me say compared to Buddhism, the Bible is nowhere compared to the mind-blowing philosophies of Buddhism.
But Buddhism is more on human nature and not supernatural being.
Okay, yet. Okay, Buddhism that's true. Buddhism is based more on human nature, and that is what it should be.
But
you understand?
No,
see, listen. If there was truly a God there, and he brought two books and said, which one do you think I wrote? Like the Bible or the Buddhist manuscripts? I would say it's Buddhist manuscript because it's what we need more. You understand?
But because you're human.
Exactly, because we are human.
Like now, like some people now think if aliens come here, if they are aliens, if aliens come, they will invade us, they will take our list. But that's the human.
Of course.
So it's still like the same thing.
Of course, but those exactly, those are the generic how do I put it? Generic imaginations of people. Like, okay, for example, now if aliens come, they're going to probably probe us and fucking take over. But those are just generic things that people talk about based out of probably ignorance and fear. But there is no we don't know if the aliens coming, if they even look humanoid like us, or if they even we can even see themselves. You understand? So they might look in a way that we cannot even conceive, we cannot even imagine. So we shouldn't just say, oh, like maybe aliens. But what I'm trying to say again is that what we need on this earth is the best way to survive. You understand? The best way to go about life. And in my opinion, Buddhism does that perfectly.
Yeah.
You understand? But the Bible does not tell us what the Bible talks about: the creation of man, the creation of language, the creation of the first wiping of the whole world, and then the repopulation of man again. Then from there, repopulation of the whole world. And then from there, just wars, fucking wars till the end of the Old fucking Testament. And then,
There were a lot of wars. There were a lot of wars.
No, why would there be? As in, that's exactly that's what I'm saying.
It's just
Because
the territory
listen,
of where
see,
everything is right now.
yeah, see, because there were a lot of wars, because that is what we humans like. We are just trying to survive. We're just trying to like survive in this world. We're trying to dominate. It's all about the strongest. So if you're not strong enough, you're going to be dominated. So, but then they now took those things that happened and then turned it into stories about them taking instructions from God, from their God, and invading other towns. So that is just what it is, and it's not as in realistically. That is, I mean, how else would we have been civilized if there were no wars in this world? But then when you now say that, oh, the reason why you invaded this place was because your God told you to, it begins to look so sketchy, and like it's not something that someone can believe in. You understand? No, now, because, and again, another thing again is, before the wars, the explanations of how we came here, like how man came to be, how language came to be, and all that stuff, all the stories are wrong.
I don't understand.
I won't say they are wrong.
They are wrong.
I won't say they are wrong, but they are.
Yes, there are some things that actually.
There's something that,
like even the river, like one of the lines of the river from Eden, the four rivers, one of them can still be traced to
Ethiopia.
Yeah, it can still be traced. It's not like it can't. People are still there trying to follow the whole thing to see where.
Yeah, but the three other rivers are not even anywhere near Africa.
Maybe they've changed.
Maybe they changed the name or something.
So people who actually know.
Okay.
Since the other one is there.
Yeah. No, the only reason why we can say that the Garden of Eden was a physical place was because of the river that was mentioned, that was encompassing the land of Ethiopia. That is the only way that we can say, oh, because there are people that say Eden is a supernatural place or a supernatural realm, and when you show them that, and they're like, I don't know, people would like to say stuff about the Bible, but then the other things about the creation story are just absolutely wrong, and the ones about the development of language is just wrong.
Do you know, like, if the Bible's one is wrong, which one is the right one? Because the Big Bang is another sketchy thing. It's
How is it sketchy?
They have the God's particle too.
No.
The what?
God's particle.
God particle.
Yeah, for like everything was together first before the creation of the Big Bang.
No, that is not what it is. The creation of the God particle is different. The God particle is like let me say something that can explain everything. Like it's called like the theory of everything. So
That's so convenient.
no,
They said, yeah, it's the theory of everything.
yeah.
Everything was just one for that theory to just be there first. Then the Big Bang actually happened.
We don't know. What we don't know is that we don't know what caused the Big Bang. They are only speculations and theories, and but the Big Bang is true because you know that the universe is expanding. So that means at one point it was all together.
Making new stuff.
But
Hmm?
I said God can be making new.
I mean,
But which-
if it is like,
If it's expanding.
if the Big Bang thing is, I don't know, maybe if people can find out how it came to pass or something, is it possible to recreate another Big Bang? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very possible. The universe is going to expand to a point where everything will be impossible to reach each other, and so life will be impossible to exist. And either it is going to compress, like it's going to reach an elastic point where it has to compress and then explode again, or it's going to die out and there might be another Big Bang. I don't know. We don't know. They're just speculations. They're just theories, but they are observable, they are demonstrable, and they are scientific in nature. So if like that's why is as in I'm not going to say belief, because that's why they are, as in you have to understand them to know what they are about. You understand? You cannot just believe them by faith like that. You cannot just follow science by faith. You have to understand it. You have to understand it intricately for you to be able to say, okay, yes, this is what this thing is talking about. But when it comes to religion deals more on faith, which is religion. Okay, for example, now, why did God ask Adam and Eve not to eat up? Look at a God. He's all-knowing. He's omnipresent, omniscient, and all that stuff. He's all-knowing. He knows all the outcomes. And then he puts these two people in the garden. They have no concept of what right and wrong is, or good and evil. They have no concept of what death is. And then they are put in this garden. And then God puts two trees in the garden. One tree is the tree of knowledge, the tree of life, that they were allowed to eat out of and to be immortal if they wanted to. And then another tree was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, this is a God that knows the outcome of everything, yet he put this stuff there and he gave it to and he gave its care to people that have no concept of whatever it is they were doing was. So what was his plan? Like, people like to say, oh, God put the tree there to test them. Test people that don't have a concept of right and wrong. That does not make sense. Secondly, how long was the test supposed to last? Like, how long was it going to last? Like, was God eventually going to say, oh, these people, yeah, I can trust them now. They really love me, so they're not going to do anything. And then when the test was over, what next? Like, were we just going to keep running around naked in the fucking garden now? And then, we'll just be like that. Nothing else will happen. Okay, for example, now, I always say there are minerals in everywhere in the world. There's gold, there's aluminium, there's so many things that we can use to our benefit. So would all those things just lay there dormant? All of us would just be in the garden reproducing?
No, but I think I don't know. I just think there are people already on the earth before Adam and Eve.
Is that where the explanation of Cain found a wife in the land of Og comes
from? People believe that he actually married his sister.
No, it's not possible.
So, but the thing with that story is that because they sent God sent him to the distant part or something of Eden, which was Nod.
Yeah, the land of Nod.
So why is that name there? Is it that
exactly
that is already a city?
Exactly, and who even gave it the name?
Yeah, you get that kind of thing. So some people will say, oh, this and that, and then they were saying, I don't know though, but they were saying Satan was already on earth with his angels, because in the Bible it was recorded that they have giants.
Yeah.
So it can be that those people are already on earth, and therefore Satan is also sneak.
Were they actual people or just demons, like actual flesh and blood?
Because since God actually sent them down, maybe they will be demons or they will just be normal human beings. And since we are created in the likeness of God, I don't know, but there are already people. I feel there are already people.
So wait, if there were people on earth, let me ask you this question: if there were people on earth, wouldn't there be one set of people walking naked because they have not yet sinned, and another set of people walking clothed because they are children of Adam who have sinned?